Imagine a world where the past, present and future of Africa converge in a symphony of creativity and innovation. Imagine Africa and the African diaspora without the legacy of colonization and slavery. This is Afrofuturism, a visionary movement that reimagines tomorrow by blending African culture, technology, and speculative fiction. Afrofuturism envisions alternative futures while honoring African heritage and conveying a more empowered image of the Black experience. It is about embracing our roots while embracing the infinite possibilities of the future. It is a creative expression that challenges norms and celebrates Afrocentric narratives. It is a movement that reshapes the trajectory of art, literature, and imagination, that has transcended its niche to influence mainstream culture. It is not just a genre, it is a global phenomenon. Afrofuturism isn't just about escapism, it is a tool for addressing real-world challenges, to inspire change and imagine a more inclusive future. Afrofuturism, where the past meets the future and imagination knows no bounds. According to Alondra Nelson, in Afrofuturism, a special issue of social test published by the Duke University Press in 2002, Afrofuturism is a cultural aesthetic, philosophy of science, and philosophy of history that explores the developing intersection of African diaspora's culture with technology. Four aspects were mentioned: cultural aesthetic, philosophy of science, philosophy of history, and intersection of technology. The cultural aesthetic of Afrofuturism is unique and is influenced by the various customs, the history, and the story of Africa. This aesthetic frequently mixes futuristic and speculative ideas with components of traditional African culture, mythology, and symbolism. It appears in many artistic mediums, in fashion, music, and literature. To imagine how science and technology may influence Black communities' future, Afrofuturism engages with both fields. It challenges preconceived notions about the function of science in determining the future of Africa and promotes critical thinking about the interaction between technology and society. It is about Africans. By reinterpreting and creating new versions of historical narratives, Afrofuturism also explores the philosophy of history. In addition to addressing the effects of colonization, slavery, and other historical injustice on the Africans, it aims to reclaim silent voice and investigate alternative narratives of slavery and colonization. It provides a venue for reflecting on the past and finding healing. The fusion of technology and African culture is at the heart of Afrofuturism. It explores deeply how technology might be used to empower and free Black people in the present and in hypothetical futures rather than just superficially incorporating it. The history of African people and their ancestors, notably the pain of slavery, colonization, and the ensuing uprooting from their native countries, is closely tied with the foundation of Afrofuturism. In reaction to those historical injustices, Afrofuturism developed as a tool for healing, empowerment, and imagining different possibilities. The first movement of millions of Africans to America, Europe, and other areas of the world through the transatlantic slave trade is what tends to define Africans. African people were brutally enslaved and dehumanized throughout this horrifying time, which caused severe trauma and alienation from their culture, homelands, and histories. African culture languages, and customs were eliminated or corrupted throughout slavery and colonization, forcing Africans to acclimate to sometimes hostile circumstances. That is when Afrofuturism arises as a kind of resistance in reaction to this pain and cultural suppression. It inspires communities of African descent to take back their cultural tradition and to create new stories that go beyond past oppressions. Afrofuturism aims to reunite Africans with their ancestors. With influence from mythology, spirituality, folklore, and symbolism, it embraces the great diversity of African culture and customs. It creates hypothetical worlds in which slavery, colonialism, and other oppressions do not characterize African and African diaspora traditions. These envisioned future frequently feature cutting-edge technology, space travel, and novel societal systems. Ultimately, Afrofuturism is a way for empowerment and liberations rather than just a form of escape. It imagines a society in which Black communities are empowered, where technology is used to their advantage, and where artistic expression serves as a vehicle for celebration and resistance. Though its creative cultural origins may have been found in previous decades, Afrofuturism as a formal term and idea only started to develop in the 90s. Even if the name Afrofuturism was only coined lately, it is crucial to remember that Afrofuturistic terms and concepts have been around for much longer. One of the pioneers of Afrofuturism is frequently regarded as the musician and composer Sun Ra. His cosmic and forward-thinking ideas were present in both his avant-garde jazz music and the manner Afrofuturist concepts might be considered as having their origins in Sun Ra's work. The 21st century has seen a huge uptick in the popularity of Afrofuturism, with singers, writers, artists, and academics investigating and embracing its themes. In music, jazz, funk, and hip hop are just a few of the musical genres that have been significantly influenced by Afrofuturism. Afrocentric and futuristic aspects have been incorporated into music by musicians and bands that have embraced Afrofuturist themes. For instance, George Clinton and Funkadelic's music merged funk rhythms and space-age visuals to produce a sound that was both psychedelic and futuristic. Mothership Connection from their album is one. Singer, songwriter, and actress Janelle Monáe has played a significant role in contemporary Afrofuturism. In her concept album like Metropolis, Suite 1, The Chase in 2007, and The Archandroid in 2010. Her music frequently includes Afrofuturistic motifs and narratives and combines science fiction with social critique, including stories about android and dystopian societies. Her distinctive tuxedo and robotic identity, Cindy subvert the conventional gender role and integrate futuristic and Afrocentric themes. She has also widened her Afrofuturist impact by appearing in movies that tackle racial and identity-related issues such as Hidden Figures and Antebellum. Science fiction and speculative fiction have been significantly influenced by Afrofuturist literature. Octavia E. Butler and N. K. Jemisin are two renowned authors that have pushed the limits of the genre. Butler explores complicated civilizations, genetic engineering, and the link between power and identity in her works, the Patternist and Parable series. N. K. Jemisin's Broken Earth trilogy has won praise from critics for its examination of racial discrimination, the negative effects of environmental degradation, and the implication of the human behavior in a vividly conceived Afrofuturist society. The 21st century has seen a rise in the popularity of Afrofuturist film, which enrich cinema by fusing African diaspora's culture with futuristic and speculative elements. Black Panther is a groundbreaking movie that was directed by Ryan Coogler and is set in the made-up African nation of Wakanda. It has received much praise for including Afrofuturist elements. Wakanda challenges the conventional Western perception of Africa as being underdeveloped by portraying it as a technologically superior, non-colonized African utopia. The movie highlights Afrocentric aspects throughout and promotes African language, culture, and custom, and examines issues of empowerment, accountability, and identity. In the movie, the Black Panther T'Challa struggles to balance his responsibilities as a leader and a superhero, reflecting the Afrofuturist focus on autonomy and self-determination. Another notable instance of Afrofuturism in the field of visual culture is a music film for the song Family Feud by Jay-Z and Beyoncé released in 2017. The music video notably incorporates Afrofuturism into both its history and aesthetic components. In the futuristic alternative universe shown in the video, a council of women get together to rewrite and reform the constitution. This storyline's investigation of issues relating to authority, leadership, and gender role is consistent with Afrofuturism's emphasis on redesigning societal hierarchies. The artistic style of the music video incorporates aspects from the past and the future. Power, religion, and family symbolism are weaved into the storyline throughout the whole film. These images are meant to represent togetherness, change, and the re-evaluation of societal conventions, pushing to consider themes of identity, legacy, and the place of women in leadership and decision-making. Visual artists have continued to embrace Afrofuturism by blending traditional African aesthetic with futuristic and imaginative elements. Jean-Michel Basquiat's works frequently featured Afrofuturist imagery, making use of historical people, African masks, and symbolism. These components question conventional ideas about what art might be and how it could address racial and identity-related concerns. Strong themes about race, identity, and society were communicated by Basquiat's art. His use of symbols and disjoint images encouraged viewers to consider challenging issues including social justice and cultural heritage. Basquiat's work of art honored Black history and culture while giving it a feeling of urgency and potential. The Afrofuturist philosophy of reclaiming and envisioning a future free from the limitation of the past oppression is embodied in his art. The mixed media work of Wangechi Mutu are well renowned for questioning conventional ideas of femininity, identity, and attractiveness. Her works frequently incorporate fantastic and futuristic themes, encouraging viewers to reflect on and broaden their knowledge of these ideas. She creates dreamy narratives that explore issues of migration, displacement, and change by fusing references to Africa. Afrofuturism has had a huge impact on fashion, inspiring unique styles and design that incorporate futuristic and Afrocentric elements. Afrofuturist elements have been incorporated into clothing by designers like Dapper Dan and Oswald Boateng's design from the 80s and the 90s combine high fashion with street style and use eye-catching patterns, emblems, and symbols from hip-hop and Afrofuturist themes. In general, fashion that embraces the diversity of African ancestry while incorporating contemporary and futuristic design aspects is known as Afrofuturism. It frequently incorporates avant-garde, space-inspired elements along with traditional African design, fabrics, and accessories. The end result is a fashion trend that defies conventional Western fashion standards and is visually culturally rich from an African perspective. How does Afrofuturism participate in social and political issues? As mentioned earlier, Afrofuturist classic Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talent by Octavia E. Butler are strongly concerned with issues of social justice, systemic inequality, climate change, and the growth of authoritarianism are just a few of the topics covered in the novel. In the books, Lauren Olamina, the main character, creates a belief system called Earth Seeds that gives resiliency and hope in the face of difficulty. Also, an artistic group called Afrofuturist abolitionists use Afrofuturism and activism to promote the abolishment of the police and jail systems. A project called The Water Will Carry Us promotes the elimination of the prison industrial complex and the pursuit of restorative justice through music, performance, art, and visual storytelling. The satirical science fiction movie Sorry to Bother You, directed by Booth Riley, released in 2018, uses Afrofuturism to criticize systematic racism and economic exploitation. Through a bizarre and future vision, the movie investigates topics of corporate greed, economic injustice, and workers' rights. In Afrofuturism and Activism, a conversation with Alondra Nelson, Afrofuturism expert Alondra Nelson has participated in discussions and scholarly work that connects Afrofuturism with social justice. Her research examines the way in which Afrofuturism may motivate and enlighten action, especially in relation to of racial fairness, health inequalities, and technological accessibilities. Afrofuturism in its entirety is a deep and forward-thinking movement that honors African past while daring to envisage the many worlds that lie ahead. It serves as a reminder of the influence narrative, art, and creativity have on how we see the past, the present, and the future. Through Afrofuturism, we can examine the complexity of identity, history, and human experience by fusing cultural heritage, technology, mysticism, and social criticism. It gives us the ability to think critically, dream big, and picture inclusive, varied world where everyone's voice and narrative counts. Therefore, I invite you to explore the aspect of Afrofuturism. By doing this, you add to a lively conversation about the past, the present, and the limitless potential of the future. Let's be co-creators of a world where the richness of African heritage is acknowledged, the legacies of resilience and invention remain, and where we mutually construct paths toward a future that is dynamic, varied, and inclusive. Until next time, keep echoing the stories of Africa.